Hey guys, so you want to be very careful when buying vacant land out in Texas. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 tips on buying vacant land in Texas. Does anybody like getting scammed? Maybe scammed for breakfast or scammed for dinner? In this video, I'm gonna give you 10 tips to help keeping you avoid being scammed out of buying land in Texas. All right, so number one, first, I want you to know what is allowed on the property. What is its actual use? What is the current zoning? Is it zoned for agriculture? Is it zoned for residential? Is it zoned industrial or commercial? You wanna know these things, and a lot of times you can just schedule a call with the county assessor or the county planning and zoning. These guys are your absolute resources. Your tax dollars pay these people, and they're absolutely glad to hear from you. So the first thing is knowing what the use and the zoning is. I'm actually gonna give you a quick example of a property in Montgomery County, Texas that I just pulled up really quickly. All right, so I got my screen pulled up. I went to Montgomery County, Texas. I'm gonna just show you how I got there. So Montgomery County, Texas property appraiser is what I'm looking for. And then I see the first thing is property search. So I want to go there, click property search, and I'm just going to search the name Johnson. Seems like a pretty common name out there, right? And then I'm looking for a piece of vacant raw land. So the quickest way to figure out where the raw land is probably going to be the one that's the lowest in assessed value, like this one, Johnson Lewis, $6,600 on 2022 assessed value. That's probably a piece of vacant raw land that there's nothing on. So I'm gonna click on it, and then look at here, real property, neighborhood Timber Lakes, let's see, percent ownership, improved home site 0, improved non-home site 0. So that means there's 0 improvements on the property, there's no structures. $6,600 is market value. This one doesn't show us a lot. I was looking for kind of like the actual acreage, and what the property's use was, but I'm not seeing that at all on this one. All vacant residential. Okay, so it's vacant residential land, and then let's just go over. All right, so that's vacant residential. It looks like just a simple lot. Let's go back and let's see if we can find something else. Let's look at this one for $149,000. Albert Johnson. All right, so active, real, 0 home site. Let's see. Houston, Texas is the mailing address. That's where this guy lives. Front acreage, all vacant residential lots. So this is another vacant residential lot. Let's see one more example. Let's see this one for $273,000. All right, total improvements. Yep, there it looks like there's a house on this one. So $314,000, improvement non-home site. So land home site value is $16,000. Let's see, homestead exemption. So this is not raw land, a piece of property with the house on it. All right, next is access to the land or the property. You wanna make sure that you have legal ingress and egress. Basically what that is entrance to the property and exit to the property. So you want to be careful to make sure that your property actually has either a road going to it, even if it's a grass road or a dirt road. I mean, preferably is an improved road like asphalt or concrete or something of the sort. But there's a lot of land out there that was subdivided many, many years ago and surveyed, and you actually have to cut across other major landowners' property or state property or even a small landowner's property. So you want to be very, very just careful about that and know how to get there. A lot of times I have just showed you an example of the assessor site. You can actually look at the assessor's map site and see if there's actually roads cut in. Another place you can check is Google Earth. To see if there's a way they've been accessing that, whether it be, sometimes it's just plain and simple, it's an asphalt road, and it's very clear that there's access. Sometimes it's not as simple, there might be a dirt path or nothing whatsoever. So there's some ways you can check into that. You can check into it with like a title search, and you want to ask the title company if they have an access attorney, an ingress and egress attorney. And a lot of times, sometimes this will actually be on the actual deed in the legal description that shows you how you're going to access that property. Number 3, are there any wetlands on the property? One way to find out about this is go walk the property. Another way is you can actually hire an engineer, a wetlands engineer, or it's also called a delineation engineer, to be able to see feet, and they can take a survey to see if there's a percentage of the property that are wetlands. You know, we deal with this a lot in Florida. Like a lot of times, if we get less than 10% of the Florida land that is wetlands, less than 10%, that's a pretty good number. Now, Texas, not so much. You know, you might have some lower areas, but I don't think you're gonna have to deal with as much wetlands. But then there's another thing, like endangered species or protected species or a certain type of bird or a turtle. You want to know about that area and actually make sure that you're not buying something that you plan to build on or develop and there's protected species on this property. Another way to figure out if there's wetlands too, you can actually call an insurance agent and ask, is flood insurance needed on this property? Is this in a 100-year floodplain? And you can also go to FEMA website and actually Google FEMA 100-year floodplain and see also about flood or actual wetlands in certain areas of Texas. All right, the next might seem pretty obvious, but number 4 is, what does the area look like? What does the neighborhood look like? Is it a commercial area? Is it an industrial zone? Or is it agriculture where there's a lot of farming, you know, pigs and chickens and cattle and horses? You want to know what the area looks like. I recommend driving by or walking it preferably in 2 different times. 1 at nighttime when it's dark, and 2 during the daytime, actually 3 preferably, you know, in the morning and in the afternoon and in the evening, if you really, really want to know, have a really good picture of what the area looks like. And let me tell you, if you're afraid to get out of your truck or your car and not walk at nighttime, I'm probably not gonna buy that kind of land. Number 5, if you decide that you're gonna buy this property and you go under contract and you put some earnest money down, the next step would be a survey. You wanna know, 1, your setbacks, and number 2, where your actual property lines and boundaries are. There's plenty of vacant land that have encroachments on it where people have built sheds or the side of their mobile home is sticking over on someone else's land. This has actually brought me great grief on a mobile home park one time in Florida. I purchased a piece of land and the actual mobile home next door, just the eave of the roof was over my parcel of land. I personally wasn't worried about it, but my buyer that wanted to build on it was worried about it with his setbacks. And that brings me to this point, setbacks. A lot of times it's sometimes up to 25 to 50 feet for a setback. What is a setback? So if you're gonna build a structure, you have a wall at the front of that structure and you might have a 25-foot setback from the structure, that wall, to the road. So you wanna make sure whatever you're putting there will fit, but you're also gonna have a 25-foot setback, and I'm just making these numbers up, a 25-foot setback at the rear of the property and also the sides of the property. So that will limit you if you've got a very small parcel of land, let's just say 5,000 square foot parcel of land, and you have 10 or 15 or 25-foot setbacks, you might only be able to build about 1,000 square foot house to abide by those setbacks. Now, sometimes there are special assessments or they would actually grant you, but that's having to go to the planning and zoning and having to have a little bit of a hearing. So there's some things that you can do to actually get around that, but you just want to know them in advance before you purchase the land. All right, I got 5 more to go, but before I give them to you, smash that subscribe button and let's keep moving. All right, next is electric. How far away are the power lines? You know, you need a transformer on a power pole to be able to hook your house in. Now, if you see those big, massive power lines running through the property or very close by, that doesn't mean anything. You need a transformer. So it's almost like an offshoot of those big power lines. So you wanna know that going into this. And the fastest way to figure this out is call the local power company. Call the local power company and see what it will take to run power to that property line. Number 7, water. Big thing. Are you gonna be on well? Do you need a well, like a well treatment system? Are you gonna be on city water? Is city water going right by the lot? We call those infill and buildable lots. Or are you gonna have to connect into the major water tower? Or is there a community water treatment system? So you wanna know this going forward, and a lot of times you can just, you know, Google local water, whatever area that is in Texas, and you can start getting answers really quickly for that. All right, it's 2022. And a lot of people are working remotely these days. A lot of people are going to school online. You wanna know what the internet looks like in that area. You wanna know how many megabytes per second or gigabytes per second. Guys, doing video, you need GPS. MPS will not work. So if you've got a, you know, if you're gonna be working from home and your boss expects you to be on camera, you're gonna wanna really know what the internet is like in that area. Number 9, a soil test or a bore test. You wanna know what the soil is like
in that area? Is it really sandy where the water will just percolate down? Or is it clay soil where the water just sheets off across? You really want to know, because that's going to tell you what kind of dirt you need to bring in to build your house, or what kind of dirt you need to take out or add, whatever. So that a soil test and a bore test, we also call them perk tests in some areas. Just think of a coffee pot and how it percolates through the filter in the coffee grounds. That's what you want the water to do on your soil. And number 10, not the last, but not the least, a title search. You absolutely want to know the chain of title on this property. Make sure it changed hands correctly, and then you want a title insurance policy. The best way to do this is call your local title insurance company. A realtor can direct you to this person. Call me, the local land buyer. I can direct you to the title company that I use. This is very, very important. We're purchasing our land with title insurance policies in case there's any problems with the title or the change of hands or the transferring of the properties. Because sometimes we've bought properties that have been bought and sold more than 20 times in the last 20 years. And there's a lot of things that you need to take into account when purchasing a parcel of land. So they do a title search, but then they insure that policy to say if they made a mistake or missed anything, they will cover it and pay for it. Hey, thanks for watching this entire video. I've got a free gift for you just for hanging out, and that is my due diligence checklist. Every time we purchase a piece of land, we use these exact checklists. A lot of it is gonna be already on this list I just mentioned today, but I've got a few more other things for you as well. I call it my 16-item due diligence checklist, and that is, you can get that yours today for free by going to thelandsharks.com/DD, as in due diligence, or thelandsharks.com/delta delta.